Eddie Slowakowski and I are old pals, and Eddie is one of the country's best motivational speakers and a world-class athlete himself. One of the few people, Jim Memolo, on this planet, other than you and I, to have run a sub-4-minute mile.
I did it in my car once.
That's right, I was with you. That's the only time you and I did it. And was that in college?
Yeah, that was right here in Loyola University.
And sub-4, what was your time?
3:58.62 was my PR indoors.
3:58.62.
In Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the world. Yeah.
How about that?
Now I want to know, what's your mile now?
3:58.63. No.
Look, if you went out on Michigan Avenue right now and ran unimpeded down the sidewalk to Grant
Is someone
Park.
chasing me? That depends.
No, well, if someone's chasing you, it's a different story. Actually, this part of town, nobody chases you. But you ran to Grant Park. What would your time?
I could probably
Could you do a 4:40?
Yeah, well, you know, maybe about a 4:45. I could break 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
In a car.
That's disgusting.
In a car.
That's nice. That's good. That's great.
Anyway, Eddie's here to do our Kid of the Week this week. Not because he's Kid of the Week. You're a little old for that, Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about motivation and sports with kids for Kid of the Week this week, especially with Little League season here and all the parent coaching going on. How many kids do you guys have?
I've got two. My son Jack is he's probably listening at home. Hey Jack.
Hey buddy.
7 years old, and Gracie is 5.
7 and 5. Second grade and kindergarten.
First grade and
First grade and kindergarten.
Still preschool.
First grade and
Montessori.
preschool.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
they're on the wrong end of the cutoffs there.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. All right, so we'll come back and talk a little bit about motivating your kids properly in sports for Kid of the Week this week. And as I mentioned, Eddie is a world-class athlete and a good guy and a pal. And you got a camp coming up, and since you're such an inspirational guy when it comes to kids and young athletes, I wanted to make sure people knew about that and also about the fact that you're still going out and doing all the speaking and stuff. So what's the best place to contact you, on the website?
The website, yeah, eddiespeak.com. It's speak like getting a dog to speak. Don't put an S on the end of that, but EDDIE, speak. Yeah, that's the best place.
And then tell me about the camp.
The camp is it's an empowerment camp. I take the kids for about 5 days, 4 nights, and we do all kinds of stuff on how to teach them empowerment, how to build their self-esteem, create self-confidence, how to create an action plan for their life, how to create a vision for what they want, a mission statement for how they're going to live. And one of the things that we do that's unique at our camp is we follow up with them throughout the year. So when they create an action plan, we put it in our database, and then my staff follows up with them to make sure they're hitting their goals throughout the year. The number one goal they got to hit is academic. And then from there, we kind of, we do all kind of stuff, though. A lot of sports, a lot of physical activity. We have a high ropes course.
So when you sit down with a kid in this Facebook world that we live in, and you say, I want you to create an action plan, do they glaze over, or do they get it right away?
No, well, you got to explain it to them exactly what you want them to do. I take them step by step.
It's goal setting, right?
Yeah, it's goal setting, but I call it forecasting, like how a weatherman kind of forecasts the weather. That's more how I like to look at it, because goals, you can get so preoccupied with just the goal itself that life's not about just obtaining and achieving the goal. It's more about living the journey and what that means. And so you got to be able to forecast what's coming on the horizon. What do I want? How am I going to get there? What do I need to do to get there? And how do I enjoy this process along the way? That's the key, is that journey.
And it's all there at eddiespeak.com.
That's it.
But in the couple of minutes we have here on Kid of the Week, sponsored by College Illinois, I wanted to talk a little bit about the parent aspect of kids in sports, more so than the kids who are in sports, because 99.999% of kids are never going to make any money playing sports. They're in it because they love it. It's great exercise and all of that, and that's what it should be. So what do you want to say to parents as we get into another Little League season to motivate kids and not scare them off it?
Well, a lot of it depends on the age of the kid. I mean, the number one thing you want them to do is have a good time, is to have fun. But in my case, one of the things my father did, if you have a kid that's gifted at something, it's not enough just for you, the parent, to notice the gift. You've got to get the kid to notice the gift. Like my father, 10 years old, took me out 5 o'clock in the morning, first day of junior high, said, we're going to have a race. And we ran around this park for a mile. I beat him in the race, and he said, son, you can run. And that's what motivated me to go out for cross country and not football. He helped me see the gift and feel the gift within myself, that I am talented at something, I can do this. And as a parent, we have to help our children recognize that in themselves and feel that in themselves, because that alone is going to begin to build their self-confidence. And that's what you want to do with a young person. But to have a good time. It's about, the journey. The journey of sports is, you're not going to know how good your kid's going to be in it, whether they're scholarship material or not. That's going to take a while. Like my son is 7. We're going to start Little League. We've already started practice. And, he can take it or leave it right now. Sometimes he likes it, sometimes he doesn't. The key is, parents, let them find their own fun within it.
Sure.
Don't be too tough on it when they're 7, 8, 9.
And if a kid says, I don't want to go, 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 and it's a big scene, they probably don't want to go.
They probably don't want to go, but at the same time, most time kids are going to choose the path of least resistance. So as a parent, you got to sometimes, we need to go do this. And usually once you get them there, they start to enjoy it. It's when the parents start to, get more into it than the kid does that you start to see some of the problems. The pressure they're putting on that kid, the undue expectations at such a young age. The children don't know how to cope with that. Their brains aren't ready for that when you're 7, 8 years old.
That's a great way to put it in general, right? Don't make it about. If it becomes more about you than it is about them, then you're pushing too hard.
You know it too when, just last night I'm doing homework with my son, and I want him, he's doing this math stuff of how much change should he get if he pays for this and gets that, and I'm getting really frustrated that he's not getting it.
Right.
Because for me, I got it like that.
Right.
And it's like, and then I had to pull myself back, and later I actually apologized to him, like, I'm sorry, you know what? Daddy was being a little frustrated there, and that was about me, not about you.
Right.
And you need to, when you feel that bubbling up in you, that's about you, something in you, the parent, that's not set right, and you need to get a hold of that before you pass that down to your kid and make them feel all that frustration.
I always put it this way: never forget what it felt like to be however old your kid is.
And it's hard to do that. It's
So
hard to have that empathy.
When your 12-year-old comes home with some problem that you just go, oh, please, just walk it off.
Yeah.
In their mind, it's a big, big deal. And you need to take a breath and treat it like
the
that.
key, too, is in today's day and age, it's hard for us parents to relate to them on circumstantial situations. It's not the same world when we were kids.
Yeah, sure.
But what we have to focus on is the emotional level. We all know what it feels like to be sad. We all know what it feels like to be insecure, to doubt ourselves, to be afraid. We know those feelings. And I tell parents all the time, think about your life stories, because it's stories that can really teach great lessons. Think about what you went through when you were that age. Think of a story, an experience, and share that with your child, because research has shown when you're sharing a story with your kid, they really listen, because what they're doing is they're visualizing what you're saying, and they're really pulled into the story itself, and they start to feel a little bit more connected with what you're saying. And that's what we have to relate to our children on an emotional level, because it is not the same world we all grew up in.
Sure.
It's very different.
I would highly recommend that anybody listening that's looking for a great motivational speaker for any group.
I
but
do a lot of
certainly-
businesses now, too.
Certainly for kids. Yeah, I mean, you'll talk to grown-ups, you'll talk to anybody.
Yep.
But
Whoever.
for kids in particular, it's always great. But Eddie's a wonderful motivational speaker, and just go to eddiespeak.com. You can contact him that way. And he dances, he sings, he entertains. By the way, he doesn't dance like a white guy, which is very impressive to me when I saw him. He dances well enough to. Your wife's hot. You got a hot wife. That you dance.
Thank you. Yes, I know I do.
Yeah,
True.
so there you go.
I'm very lucky.
So, but I appreciate you coming by, and I hope parents are listening to pay attention to the fact that it's about the kids.
I want to say one other thing about it. I work with
Kids.
Chicago Public Schools quite a bit, and they wanted me to mention their Summer Quest program. That's where they send kids to camp all over the country. Summer Quest is a great thing, so get in touch with Chicago Public Schools about Summer Quest to get your kids in the Chicagoland area. They have scholarships for kids as well.
And the
So
key is move. Just get them moving.
get them exposed.
Get them moving. I
Get
don't
them
care how old
exposed,
they are. I
yeah.
don't care if they're 16 years old and they got a weight problem, whatever. Get them moving.
Right.
Whether walk with them. Take
something.
Walk with them after work. Just take that time to talk to them and stuff. Just get them moving.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Get those kids out there. Get them exposed to different things in the world. The exposure is going to change their way they think.
You're a good man, Eddie.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having
Eddie
me.
Speak. SPEAK.
You got it. Thank you.
EddieSpeak.com.